Well, good morning, and how are you all today? Welcome to American Reversion. I hope you're well. Here we have the 45th and 47th President of the United States agreeing with me, joining me in the statement that America needs a reversion. So if you've got your American Reversion mug, fill it up with something, sit down and drink while we talk. So the top topic of today obviously is DeSantis dropping out, right? Going to talk. Well, no. Actually, the most important subject today is that Taylor Swift is happy because the Chiefs beat the Bills last night. Did you see that? Did you all happen to see that game? Oh man, that was a heck of a game, I have to say. I'm not a fan one way or another. I'm of course in Kansas City, and so go Chiefs and all that. But I'm not a big. I like watching a good football game. Last night was pretty good. Both teams had some heartbreaking mistakes. And there was a couple of interesting calls in it, but I don't get all upset about the refs because hey, they're the refs. If you're gonna win big enough so that the refs don't affect the outcome of a game. But that kick, what was that kid's name? The Bills kicker, was his Bass, something like that? Oh man, he missed that field goal. I actually felt badly for the guy. I mean, gee, I would never want to be a kicker because everything. One day you're a hero, and the next thing nobody's talking to you. And when he missed that kick, I actually felt badly. He's going to have to carry that for a year, until he wins a game with a kick. But still, that's always going to be. It's always going to be in his memory and in his life. And I watched him go over, and when a kicker misses a kick like that, and it wasn't. Somebody made a good point. What was it? There were a lot of things that happened during the game that you can go back and say, well, if this had gone a different way, there would have been a different outcome. Made that kick not. And I know I'm getting into football here. You'd think I was a big football fan. I'm not. But I'm a big fan of life and how people do things, So, poor kid over there sitting down on the bench, hanging his head, kept his helmet on, because he just wanted to hide. And I can imagine, right? Okay, kind of how we all felt the day after the last election, isn't it? Okay, well let's get into this. This is interesting. This is the next big step in the presidential race. We're going to be talking about that. Let me share a couple more other things with you first. Things to talk about with your friends, things to send to your friends if they need them sent. And as always, I'll put the links to these stories over on the Patreon channel. Representative Jamal Bowman. Remember him? The guy that pulled the fire alarm to stop the vote or something like that. And then he'd have been a principal in a school somewhere and try to get everybody to believe that, well, he thought that fire alarm was how you opened the door. Part of the squad, right? Well, he said he has proposed a $14 trillion reparations plan for the enslavement of Africans and its lasting harm on the lives of millions of black people in the United States. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's not worth that. But he assures, he says, the progressive congressman, called on the federal government to foot the bill. Does he not know what the federal government is? He doesn't, because he's a Democrat, because he's a commie, because he's so stupid. He came up through city schools, probably, and he doesn't know where money comes from, right? So he says he called on the federal government, which he doesn't realize gets his money by stealing it from you and me. And they should foot the bill, arguing that there's a way to pay for it without raising taxes on anyone. Well, okay, he has obviously discovered the magical way we can do that. Let's see. He says here, when COVID was destroying us, we invested in the American people. We did. We didn't lock them down, destroy their businesses, destroy their jobs, anything like that. No, we invested in the American people in a way that kept the economy afloat. his way of saying, took us several steps more towards total communism. He says the government can invest the same way in reparations without raising taxes on anyone. Okay, now he said it twice. Still haven't found. He gives the answer. Now see if you can understand this, okay? See if you can understand this. Pass it all to your liberal friends. Okay. Where did the money come from? He continued. We spent it into existence. I know. Are you banging your head? We spent it into existence. So he goes on and gives the same old arguments, right? So, hey, you know what? After you're done watching this, I want you all to go out there and spend more money into existence. Okay? Do that. Encourage your liberal friends to do it themselves. And when they say, well, I don't know how I can do that, I say, well, Bowman says you can. Okay, we have Tedros Waka 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 Waka. What is his name? Tedros Ghebreyesus. The World Health Organization. Who? Called on countries to sign its pandemic treaty in order to prepare for Disease X at Wednesday's World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Well, we covered this a little bit. I mean, I covered it already last week on this, but he's calling now for a pandemic treaty. Okay, let's see what he has to say about this. He shared his hopes that the international community would reach a pandemic agreement by May to fight against this, quote, common enemy. While scientists have identified several possible high-risk animal viruses such as bird flu, hantavirus, and monkeypox, Disease X is used as a placeholder to refer to a potential pathogen that could be 20 times deadlier than the coronavirus. And that's not counting. He revealed that Disease X could cause a serious international epidemic. And this is only Disease X, which is 20 times more deadly, not counting that one they're working on over in China on the mice, which is 100% deadly. Not 100% more deadly, just 100% mortality rate, right? Yeah. Okay, that's the next thing you want to keep in mind. And they say this is breaking news. So he wants for all the countries to sign up to the WHO Pandemic Agreement. Treaty. All right. Now to the story of the day. Besides Taylor being happy. Trump hints at VP pick. We'll get back to this in just a second, okay? So the news is that DeSantis did the smart thing. He withdrew. He withdrew from the race. He's keeping $130 million or something, and out of all the things that he's raised, but maybe he's already spent that. We don't know, So he did the smart things. And as I said long ago, when he announced for president, he assured that was political suicide. He assured he wasn't going to go any farther in politics because he had stabbed the man in the back who was responsible for getting him his governorship. And that gives you an idea of what kind of person he is, right? Now, he might be a smart guy. He might have done a lot of good things in Florida, which is where he should have stayed. Again, I know I'm repeating myself. He should have stayed in Florida, backed Trump from the beginning because Trump backed him, showed his loyalty, stayed down there where he can continue to do stuff in Florida, and waited until after the end of Trump's next term. Then I think he might have been a very strong candidate. Okay, it doesn't mean he would have been a different person, except his behavior would have indicated that he was, and we wouldn't have all known what a backstabber he is. Okay, now who knows if he's vying for a position in the Trump administration? I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure he's hoping for something. But he's going to go back now to be a a governor in Florida who is a failed presidential candidate. He wasn't even a presidential candidate. He was a presidential race candidate. Okay, so back he goes, and he made the smart decision in Iowa. He saw that he didn't go over to 20%. He made the kind of speech you would expect, and saying we really showed them however they I don't know. He spun it to look like a success. I know they can do that because they're politicians, right? And he knew that if he took a waxing in New Hampshire, and he knew he had no hope in South Carolina, it was going to destroy him completely. So he did the smart thing. He got out. Good for him. Nikki Haley. Oh my gosh. She looks like a witch. She looks like a witch. She's staying in because she is under this idea, this false ideas, that she is bringing some kind of moral high ground to the fight. Well, first off, she's full of ego. She has no moral center or moral compass. She's all over the place. She is so much a neocon. She's a Democrat. She ought to be running on the Democrat ticket. But she thinks that she is so good that the sisterhood's going to pull her through. And you know the sad thing about that? To an extent, they will. Now, what we're talking about here, the sisterhood, is all of those liberal women or liberal-leaning women or women who actually identify as Republican but don't like the nasty way that Trump talks. They're going to go for the girl. I mean, I hate to say it. Kelly was sitting right here with me, otherwise known as Mrs. Snerdley. She was sitting here with me earlier and said the same thing. Well, I won't get into that. So I started to go a different way, and I'm going to have to back up and continue down the road we're already going. So Haley is not going to do well. She thinks that DeSantis leaving the race is going to help her in New Hampshire. She might pick up a few, but the vast majority of DeSantis supporters are going with Trump, because it's about position. It's about their positions, their political positions. So we will see. It's going to be that's tomorrow, and it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. And no matter what happens in this, I doubt, now I can't be sure, I doubt she will withdraw because she's hoping for a miracle in South Carolina. Okay, South Carolina is her state, she thinks, and I don't think she knows how many people in South Carolina detest her. But if she stays in after New Hampshire, she'll be out after South Carolina. So, everybody with any smarts or moral compass or desire to take the White House back from Biden is supporting Trump. He's getting all the support from all of the other candidates except Chris Christie. Now, he said something funny in an article. Trump did, not Christie. I don't think Christie has ever said anything funny except, what do you mean you're out of donuts? And so Trump said something funny about Christie here. I'll read it to you in a second. But everybody else, saying, hey, we endorse Trump. DeSantis now endorses Trump. Tim Scott endorsed Trump. What's that guy's whose name I always forget? Was he governor of North Dakota or something like that? He endorses Trump. Mr. Less Than 1%er. He's probably a nice guy. Burgum? Is that his name? And I'm not sure. Was he North Dakota? I haven't kept up on him. I knew he wasn't a factor, so I didn't take the time to really know anything about him. It's like learning the name of the new guy on the team. So everybody is supporting Trump. It's coming down to this is the fight, guys. This is the fight. Now, the question is going to be, who's Trump going to pick as his running mate? There's all sorts of ideas. There's all sorts of opinions on that. I was talking, I'll tell you what, I was talking to Kelly about this too. And here's another problem that the conservatives have. Okay, and it's a problem you have to get over if you fall into this. I was talking to some guys a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about who they thought Trump should pick as a running mate. And, they had different ideas, nothing wrong with that, And I was just kind of listening. And one of the guys turned to me and he said, Steve, who do you think he should pick? And I said, well, at first I had thought that Kristi Noem would be a good pick. And then I was going to go on and tell them who I really thought was a good pick. I never got the chance. You know why? Because two of the guys immediately exploded. Oh, no. This is one of the problems on our side. See, conversation stopped and shots began. No, that I hate that. Okay? But one of them said something very interesting. And he said, I don't think a woman should ever be president of the United States. And I thought, whoa, that's quite a statement. But he went on to explain, he says, because no country around the countries around the world will not respect a woman. Two things immediately occurred to me. First off, well, are you talking about the Arab countries? I don't give a damn what they think. And secondly, are you familiar with Margaret Thatcher and Golda Meir? Two strong leaders, both of whom were women. Margaret Thatcher, along with Reagan and John Paul, and what was the Polish Union leader's name? Walensky? I forget. Pretty much responsible for bringing down the Soviet Union. Maggie Thatcher, the Iron Maiden, you talk about tough. When she walked into a room, people listened. Not everybody likes Margaret Thatcher. I have my major problems with her over Ireland. But, strong leader, yes. Golda Meir, President of Israel. If you're not familiar with Golda Meir, look her up and read about her. So anyway, I was very surprised to hear that from somebody. And this is the kind of thing that splinters us, okay? I think that a woman could be fine as a president if it's the right woman, okay? Same as a man. I think that a man could make a great president if it's the right man. There's a difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You see, we make the distinctions between people, not because of gender or hair color or anything like that. So, as we came, I was never able, I could have argued and raised, but I don't do that. I don't do that. You know, if somebody is so incensed that they don't want to hear my opinion, they don't get to hear it. So who do you think? Who do you think would be a good one for him? I don't think I'm going to give my opinion here. I think there is a lot of, but I'm going to read something here. This is from The Hill. And Miranda Nazaro is the one who wrote it. And the title is Trump Hints at VP Pick and says, people won't be surprised. Now, what do you think that means? Let me read you a couple of paragraphs here. Former President Trump on Saturday suggested he had his pick for vice president and hinted people will not be that surprised by his choice of running mate. Asked by Fox News chief political anchor Bret Baier in New Hampshire about when he will decide who could join him on the ticket if he secures the nomination, Trump said, well, it's never really had that much of an effect on an election, which is an amazing thing. Both election and primary, it's never really had much of an effect. Well, in most cases, I would agree with that. However, I will tell you it had an effect on the loser, John McCain. If Sarah Palin hadn't run with him, he would have lost even worse than he did. And I've said this, I held my nose and voted for McCain because of Palin. not in spite of her, and certainly not because of John McCain. You remember John McCain, you guys? What a disgusting piece of... I know he was a war hero. Not in my opinion, he wasn't. I may or may not really decide something over the next couple of months, he said. Do you see already? Trump is the master of misdirection. Okay? He suggested he has his pick for vice president and hinted that people will not be surprised, and then says, I may or may not really decide something over the next couple of months. You know, people don't realize, I mean, trying to nail Trump down on something that he's going to do is like trying to nail Jello to a wall, right? He just won't, he talks a lot. He uses a lot of words, but at the end you go, he didn't really say anything, right? Now that's not to be confused with him being wishy-washy. He's not. Well, he is in some cases. But the thing is, he is able to use a lot of words to spin the cotton candy around you to make you go, what exactly did he say? He does all of these things, and I'll remind you, this is a smart guy. Trump is a smart guy. I'll remind you, I've read all of his books. A lot of people don't like him because they don't know that much about him. They've just kind of recently, been introduced to him in the last 6 years or so. But he is a brilliant guy. Sometimes makes mistakes. So, you don't need to come on and in all caps say, but he didn't like bump stocks or something like that. Hey, relax, Jack. Grow up and understand that we are in a fight for the survival of this country. And I'll tell you what, the survival of this country does not rest on bump stocks. Okay? Yeah, do I agree? Oh, so you're against the Second Amendment, aren't you, Steve? See, that's the kind of people that we don't need. Go someplace else and express that stupidity. Okay? There's no rush to that, he said. It won't have any impact at all. Okay? The person that I think I like is a very good person. See, even there he says, he didn't say the person I like. He said the person I think I like is a very good person. Okay? A pretty standard one. I think people won't be that surprised, but I would say there's probably a 25% chance that would be that person. See? So I think I like something, but I think there's probably a 25% chance that it would be that person. See, he is. This does not show indecision on his part. Don't be fooled. This shows him spinning around the heads of these interviewers. Asked if Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, he's Republican South Carolina, most of you know that, who dropped out of the GOP primary race in November and endorsed Trump on Friday, is on the list. Trump described the senator as a great guy while highlighting other political figures from the Palmetto State. See, this is where he's not going to alienate anyone. This is where smart politics differentiates itself from stupid politics. Stupid, and I don't mean to call people stupid who take these positions, but when you go after somebody or make, and insult people in your political discussions, you are alienating people. You are fragmenting, and you're making people not take you seriously. But Trump is an expert at this, at the other. Okay, he says, Scott endorsed me. That's an example. Nikki Haley comes from South Carolina. Tim Scott is from South Carolina. But if you look at the governor, great governor, another senator, Lindsey Graham, yeah, but he's not alienating Lindsey Graham. If you want a big tent, you got a lot of people in there. You don't let them make your decisions for you, but you let them in because you want their support. This is politics, guys. This is how the country is run. This is how every nation has been run, for the most part. You can say, well, some are dictatorships. Yeah, they got to be that way through politics. Politics is important. Trump said, but Governor Henry McMaster knows it very well. He endorsed me. It's very hard for a governor to endorse somebody when you haven't. I mean, Henry McMaster was a lieutenant governor under her, meaning Nikki Haley. And he endorsed me. What does that tell you? Okay. Here's the surprising thing. In a Fox News town hall in Iowa earlier this month, Trump indicated he would be willing to consider any of the people who ran against him. And then he says, "I've already started to like Chris Christie better," who you can be sure he doesn't like, and who doesn't like Trump. Christie's going to make, the rest of his career is going to be made out of, I hate Trump. Trump has largely kept his cards close to his chest, as he should, when it comes to who might join him on the Republican ticket. Several Trump allies have urged him to select a female running mate. I'll get to that, suggesting such names as Representative Elise Stefanik, who I'm not a fan of. Look her up. Not a fan of her results. And South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. I do kind of like Noem. I've liked her for... Is she perfect? I mean, no. Come on. You don't even have to ask that. There's no reason for you to come on and add something that you think may be negative about her. I'll tell you what. You know what would be helpful? If you want, come on and give constructive opinions. Support your positions. Support your opinions with reason. Okay? And that's going to get you a lot farther. We're in political discussions here. And the future of our country rests on these things. Do I like Kristi Noem? I've liked what I know about her. I probably don't know everything about her. I don't know. Okay? Find me, like I said yesterday, Jesus ain't running. Find me a perfect candidate, and you'll be wrong. So we have to take a look at all of these people, and warts and all, and see who is going to be the best for the country. William Buckley used to say, voting conservatively is voting for the most conservative person who can be elected. It didn't say for the most conservative person. If you vote for the most conservative person and they don't have any chance of being elected, what purpose has that served? Okay. If you vote for the most conservative person who can be elected, now you've got somebody in who is far superior to the other choice. And now you continue to work for and fight for someone on your side who is more conservative. Okay? Right now, somebody out there is typing. But that doesn't work, Steve. It has worked for the other side. Here again. You're here because you understand. You're smart enough to understand that this is a political battle, and that only a political victory is going to bring us closer to reclaiming this country. Okay. And sometimes we have to make compromises. And those people who say you can't compromise on morality, I agree with. You should never compromise on your own morality. But if you can't compromise on the comparative reality of others, and if you can't make a choice between a person who has faults and someone who has shown themselves to be among the most corrupt, evil, immoral people in American presidential history, you're not part of the solution. I'll tell you that right now. And if you're not part of the solution, you know what the old saying goes, right? What are you? For those, the rest of you reversionists who are going to fight the good fight, we have an interesting time ahead of us, right? So pay attention. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about that. And the next day to talk about the results of what we see come out of New Hampshire. America needs a reversion. Go Taylor Swift, right? Go Chiefs next week. Who are they playing? The Ravens? Well, for all you Ravens fans out there, good luck to you too. And you all have a good day. America needs a reversion. 45-47 agrees with me. Have one. Go get you a mug. Fill it up. Be with me for tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.